back to my channel, According to Kat. If you are new here, please introduce yourself in the comments below. If you're returning, just say hi. And what are we making today?
Okay everyone, today we are making 4 DIYs. We will be using Dollar Tree items as well as recyclables and anything else that is really cost effective. If you want to learn how to make all of these fall DIYs, make sure you stay tuned.
If you'd like to know what supplies I've used, check out the description box below. And with all that being said, let's get right into the video.
Okay, DIY number 1, pumpkin topiary. So the first thing I did was I took this thrifted candle holder, a lid to a tin can, and 3 Dollar Tree pumpkins. Now the lid to this tin can is from one of those like larger packs of chicken, or you can use like a crushed tomato can, just so it's a larger lid. Now that thrifted candle holder I used in a previous DIY, and I'm recycling it for this one, but you may use one you get from the Dollar Tree. So I am just using some hot glue. You can use something more permanent if you would like, but this was fine for me. And I just hot glued it right there on the middle at the top of that candle holder. The next thing I'm going to do is take this Waverly Chalk Paint in Moss and give this candle holder / lid 2 good coats. So this whole vignette revolves around this moss color. I really love it for the fall, and I thought this would look really nice with some of the things that we'd be making today. So again, I'm giving it 2 good coats to make sure I cover that black. And you know, the top, that tin doesn't hold paint very well, can scratch off really easily. So if you are worried about it, I would put some Mod Podge or something on top just to seal in that paint a little more, or you can even put Mod Podge on the bottom. What that would do is create a tacky base that the paint has something to stick to. Now I'm taking these 3 shiny pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I did love the color they were, but you know, we have to change things. That's what crafters do. And I am just painting them in my Waverly Chalk Paint in plaster. Now, I wasn't sure before I bought the plaster how it was going to compare to the Waverly Chalk Paint in white. I will say it has more of, I don't want to say a cream color. It's almost like it would have like a tinge of mineral, the color mineral in it. So it's just not as stark white, which I really liked with this moss green. Now I'm taking some jute twine from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going right around one of those tops of the pumpkins where the stem is. Now the only reason I need to do one of them is because they will be stacked on top of each other for the topiary. So I'm just using a tiny bit of hot glue, going around, maybe putting another dot of hot glue and just twirling my way all the way to the top. And then when I get up there, I'm gonna snip it and then just put 1 dab of hot glue to hold that in place. Okay, so the next thing I am going to do is just take off any strings on that, and I'm going to burn any fuzz that is left over. Again, if you don't feel comfortable with this, do not do this. I just like having the jute to look very clean. And now I'm taking some Dollar Tree, yeah, what's that? It's not twine. Raffia, and I'm going to pretend that I didn't just look that up, because you know me, I can't remember words sometimes and it just happens. So I'm taking that Dollar Tree raffia and I am just tying it around the base of that candle holder into a knot and then cutting off any ends. Now I'm just taking the hot glue and gluing down the first pumpkin. Then I will take the hot glue and glue down the second pumpkin and then the third. Again, if you want this to be more permanent, you can just use some super glue gel, some E6000 or whatever you have in the house, or the Fix-All glue, which I love from the Dollar Tree. And there I am putting on the last and top pumpkin. I'm going to take the hot glue and take some of this Spanish moss and just kind of tuck it in around the bottom pumpkin, and it will create more of a, I don't know, lack of a better word, a nest for those pumpkins, and it will give it more of a earthy element that I really wanted. And I'm just going all the way around. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this. I am just literally going around tucking and gluing, and you will see at the end here any pieces that seemed a little much, I went back and I gave a haircut to and just trimmed it up because I just didn't want all of the Spanish moss to be flowing off the ends. I just wanted to give it a base to sit on. And now I'm just finishing it up with my last bit of hot glue, and then I'm just going to turn it around and make sure there are no gaps or places where I need to add a little more, and I will just trim up any of that Spanish moss so that it doesn't look, messy. This part I lost some footage. I glued on 2 little tiny lamb's ear from Walmart that I had left in my stash, and I just tied a piece of string, like kitchen string, and I got that at Dollar Tree. It's just the white string, and I just tied that in a regular shoelace tie. Now I am taking some Waverly Chalk Paint in Truffle, and I am distressing it a bit. I did take it upstairs before I did this, and I realized how flat it looked, and I knew it needed something a little more, so I took it down, and with a very, very dry brush and a very light hand, I just distressed it a little bit with some of that Truffle Waverly Chalk Paint, and that added the perfect amount of dimension that I needed. I hope you like this as much as I do. DIY number 2, Harlequin Wooden Pumpkin. So the first thing I did was I took this Waverly Chalk Paint in Plaster. I love these 2 colors together, and I thought it would look great in the vignette. And this Dollar Tree wooden plaque, I got it in the Crafter Square section, and I gave this 1 good coat in the Plaster color. Now, anything that was light I might have touched up a little more, but it really only needed 1 coat. And I, of course, did the back as well and put it to the side to dry, because you want to make sure it's dry before you move on to the next step for the front of the pumpkin. I'm taking one of these tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree as the stand in the back, and I painted that as well. Now, these stencils come in a pack of I don't even know, 15. I got them on Amazon. I will link them below, and they have so many great things, and it's mostly Parisian kind of motif, but I really liked this Harlequin pattern, and I thought it would look really cute on a pumpkin. So yeah, that's why I chose it. And I'm using that moss green and a Dollar Tree stencil brush, a stippling brush, and I'm very lightly going right on top. I'm not using a lot of paint. That's when it tends to leak underneath, and I really wanted it to look distressed. And then any of the places where I saw the moss kind of got down on the edge, I went back and touched up with the plaster. And this was ready to go. I just put it to the side to dry. Now I am taking these branch cutters, and I am trying to make a little stem for my pumpkin. I'm not going to lie to you, this was not easy. And I made 5 cuts and I was struggling. But yeah, I guess I'm just really weak. I am putting on some hot glue on the back of that tumbling block, and I'm leaning it back a bit so it doesn't fall forward, the pumpkin, so it's not front heavy. So I lean it back a bit. Now I'm taking a little hot glue and putting it right on the bottom of that stem and putting it right on top of that pumpkin. So cute. So now I am taking this raffia from Dollar Tree, and I'll take 2 or 3 pieces, and I'm just going to give that a quick cut, and then I will tie it right around the top of that stem of the pumpkin, and I just put it in a knot. If you want to use a bow, go right ahead, and I'm just trimming off any excess, and I really loved the simple look of this. Now I just wanted a little more dimension on the edges, so I took that same Waverly Chalk Paint in Truffle, and with a very light hand and a very light brush, I'm distressing just the ends, going right around. You can't see it much unless you get close, but I really like the effect it gave it. And that's it. I hope you like this as much as I do. Okay, number 3, perched owl frame. So I got this little owl from the Dollar Tree, so cute, and I am using that same plaster and Waverly Chalk Paint and giving this owl 2 good coats, and make sure you do 2 because it is a bit shiny. You just have to make sure some of those places the coat was very thin and you could kind of see through it, and it just wasn't as opaque as I would like it. And so I gave it a good coat, put it to the side. I actually use a nail dryer that I've had from a long time ago, and I just kind of prop it up and just let it dry it, and it does dry it a lot faster than just letting it air dry. So I just gave it a good coat and I waited for it to dry. Now I am taking some Waverly Chalk Paint in moss again, and this is an old frame that I got from Dollar Tree. It is one of those box frames. I used it in a previous DIY, but I am recycling it and using it in this one. That's what's so great. Just use what you have before you buy new stuff. You can see right here just how it wasn't as covered as I would like, so I went back and just gave it another coat and put it to the side to dry. Now I'm just taking some hot glue and just gluing on the owl. Again, more permanent hold, go for some Fix-All glue or some E6000, something like that, but I'm okay that it might come off and I can just re-glue it or use it for another craft later. So I'm just using the hot glue and some of that Spanish moss again, and I'm just kind of tucking it around the owl and squeezing it in using like this little pick thing and trying to get it in those crevices right around him. I did make the owl off-centered. I did not put him in the middle just because I wanted it like that. Now there was some little sticks inside the Spanish moss, like they hide them in there, I think, like little treats. No, they don't, but it would be funny. Anyway, they have little sticks in there sometimes, so I thought, oh, it would be cute if he looks like he's perched on a little, you know, branch or something. So cute. So I'm just taking a little hot glue and putting that right under the owl, and it does look like he is perched up high. And I will just take my scissors and cut off any excess hanging over. And if you're enjoying this video right now, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Now I am taking that raffia again, and I am just tying it into a knot, and I am cutting off any of those long pieces on the ends. I just hot glued it in place and then went back and made sure I liked how it was sitting. And you can leave it just like that, and I usually do like a knot, but I wanted a bow on this one, so I just made a bow. I tied it upon itself, kind of like you're tying a shoelace, and then I just hot glued that right on top of the knot that was already there. And again, I thought that this looked really cute, but I wanted it distressed, so I thought I'm going to use my Dollar Tree sanding sponge, my really old one that's like a hot mess. But I did not like it at all because it was shiny underneath. So yeah, I didn't like that at all. So I went back and took my Waverly Chalk Paint and plaster and just gave it another coat, waited for that to dry. And then I'm taking my Waverly Chalk Paint and Truffle again, the dark brown, and with a very dry brush, I'm going through and giving it a light distressing. And I really liked how this looked because the owl has all of those raised parts, like the eyes and the feathers, the ears, how they stick up like that. There was just a lot of raised parts that the chalk paint, the truffle, stuck to, and it looked really cool, and I just really liked how it looked. It was exactly what this needed, and it gave it more dimension. And this is it. I hope you like it as much as I do. DIY number 4, tin can pumpkins. I'm not going to leave out my favorite type of crafting, using recyclables, and it's the cheapest way to craft. So I'm taking 2 tin cans. One is for tuna fish and the other one is the chunk chicken. And yeah, chunk chicken sounded funny. I don't know. The smaller can, I am painting in the plaster color, and the larger can I am painting in the moss color. Again, bringing this whole vignette together. I am using the Dollar Tree little stems. I did not find them this year. Tell me in the comments below, did you find those? Because I love those, and I really loved when they carried those. I had a few left in my stash, so that's what I'm using here, and I like them because they're thick and they just are the perfect stems for pumpkin tops, whatever. Now I'm using some Dollar Tree pine cones, the ones that have the white on it. I got them last year, and I love using these on my fall and Christmas crafts. So I'm just using a little hot glue to hold those in place, and I put 2 bigger ones and 2 smaller ones on the smaller can, and again, just hot gluing that in place. I didn't need much, just a little bit, and that was it. Now, I did something wrong here. I wish I would have held off on putting on the pine cones, because now I'm trying to put on the raffia to tie around, and I did not have an easy time doing this because I had to kind of like squeeze it in between the pine cones. I just didn't want to take them off. I was afraid the paint would come off, and you can even see here just from my nail hitting it a little bit, some of that paint was coming off. Again, seal it with some Mod Podge if you're afraid of that, but that's okay if it was, but I just touched it up if I just thought any paint came off a little too much. And again, I just tied this raffia in knots. I did not do bows on this one, and I just loved how simple these looked, and I really like this primitive look, and yeah, so cute. So I'm just taking my scissors and cutting off any excess of that raffia ribbon, and now I'm going to finally distress this. I am using that same truffle paint and a very light hand, but I liked it a lot on the plaster can. However, when I put it onto the moss, just be careful. I felt it got muddy really quick. I don't know why. The color, the truffle on top, when I was trying to distress it, it just made the paint look muddy. And maybe you can see it here. But in person it looked muddy. So I went back with some moss and I just kind of touched it up any place that I thought I got a little heavy handed, and that did the trick. So I did leave some of the brown on, but you can see in the final product it doesn't look as distressed as it is there. Okay, this is it. Hope you like it as much as I do. And here we are at the final reveal, my favorite part of the video. We get to recap everything we just made. So the first thing we made was this topiary using 3 Dollar Tree pumpkins. I love the way this looks in my entryway, so cute. The next thing we made was this pumpkin plaque. I really love the Harlequin design on the front. It just added a really cool design effect, and yeah, with that little stem, so cute. Then we have the owl perched in the frame. Very whimsical. It added such a whimsical element to this whole vignette, and definitely distressed it and made it look so much better. And then we have the Trash to Treasure tin can pumpkins. So cute, love those, and so cheap to make. Out of all 4 of these DIYs, you tell me which one's your favorite. I'm gonna go with either the Harlequin pumpkin or the tin can pumpkins. I love both of those so much. You tell me in the comments below which one's your favorite. Thanks, guys.
So that's it, that's the end of my video. I hope you liked everything you saw here today, and I hope it inspires you to make something of your own. If you have not checked me out at Instagram over at Catluna Designs, please do so. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I upload every week, and I love to make decor on a budget. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye! Oh my god, my cheeks hurt. I was laughing so hard. Okay. Take 79. If you have not checked me out, please give this video. This is the worst. This is gonna be like the longest bloopers ever. And I share some more. Please give this something. If you have not checked me out on Instagram, take 80, take 81. And if you like my channel, please consider So that's it. That's the end of my video. I'm laughing because I've done this end scene about 10 times. If you like this video, please. Oh my god. Take 108.